Okay, this is my Yucca Fire Saw. Normally a fire saw is made from bamboo. This is the way it was traditionally done in the Philippines, but I didn't have any bamboo around here, so I decided to try Yucca, and it worked real well. This is everything needed to make a fire right here. Just some Yucca stalk hollowed out and some tinder. We'll go ahead and do a quick demo here, and then we'll show you how to make one of these things. Okay, this is the Yucca Fire Saw. Instead of using bamboo, I'm using Yucca. This is the outer shell. It's all hollowed out. Alright, we've got sort of a sharp edge along the sides here. You've got to resharpen that each time you make fires with this thing, and made several already. This is the part you hang on to, and I'm using 2 pieces instead of 1 because it's not as strong as bamboo. So what we've got here is we've got a little notch, carved that in there with a knife already. You can see a tiny little hole right there. Inside, I've got some of the dust from inside of the yucca. Put my tinder over that. That's just palm tinder from these palm trees that you see all around here. And then what I'm doing is just kind of putting this top piece on here to kind of hold it all together, like that. And I've got a nice strong handle here, and we're going to go ahead and see if we can't get a fire going with this. Okay, we're just going to start off kind of slow at first, kind of let the blade and let the top piece kind of get warmed up. And after a minute, not a minute, but a few seconds here, we should start to feel some drag, and we'll start to get a little bit of dark coloration on the knife edge here, on the blade. I can smell smoke now. I'm putting a little more force down, and then I'm going to go for it here in a minute. Yeah, I think we got you can see the smoke coming off this thing. We'll open that up. Okay, finally we got fire here. And we'll take a close-up look at this thing afterward. I'll go ahead and drop that down here. Usually this will continue smoldering here. So what I like to do with that open hole so it doesn't burn up my entire piece here is just cover it over. I certainly don't want to pour water on it, just let it smother itself out. Now we'll take a look at the board right here. You can see the edges here. When you get done, after making each fire, you want to take your knife and carve that off there, because for some reason it doesn't seem to work very well if you try and make a second fire on this blackened area. Alright, that's it. Okay, this is a section of yucca stalk, the central portion that the flower comes from. We're going to go ahead and cut this in half and turn it into a Yucca Fire Saw. We'll hollow it out. Okay, we're going to cut this in half down about here. Cut it here again. This will be our fire tube for the top part. We'll hollow some of this out, and this will be our knife edge blade down here. It's going to be our saw edge. Hollow this out. So we'll do the same with the other half here. So what we have here is a shell, sort of similar to bamboo. Okay, next we'll go ahead and split this, cut it up to about here. This will serve as our knife edge, right in this area right here. Scoop this out. Sharpen the edges. Okay, we'll take and cut a little notch right in here. Just enough to serve as a guide for our blade. Take the tip of our knife, tiny little hole in here. When I see it poking out here, I hold my finger there, and I want to clean that section out right in there. Because it's got some of that yucca punky stuff in there, and we want to get that out of the way so our fire can get started right in this area right here. And we'll put our tinder bundle in there. This tiny little hole. Okay, I hope that shows up there. Okay, this piece will go on here like this. That will serve as a nice handle. You don't need this top piece, but it adds additional strength so that I can squeeze this whole piece, because again, it's not as strong as bamboo. And we'll give this thing a try here in a minute. Okay, here's our upper piece. I'm just going to call this the Yucca Fire Tube because it's sort of a tubular shape. Take a little bit of yucca dust in here from the interior, sprinkle that around in there, right over the hole that we've created. We take our tinder bundle, which is a little bit of a palm fiber. You can use anything, of course. I want that to be kind of loose so we don't smother the thing. Take our upper piece of yucca, so we have a nice strong support. Again, this piece is not necessary, but having that on there, we've got a nice handle to hold on to. I can squeeze it, and I'm not as likely to fracture the tube here. Okay, we'll get started here. We've got our yucca saw blade down here in the ground, support it. That last blade piece was a little bit flimsy. Sometimes you have to improvise, so I cut off the end, cut off another section of blade here. It's a little shorter now, so we're going to try it up against this tree. I think it'll work. It's up against the tree here. Let's see how this works. I'm picking up some drag now. A little smoke. Okay. See smoke in here. Okay, I'm going to put it in a little bit bigger tinder bundle. A little more tinder in there. Okay. Well, it took a while, but we got fire. Okay, so here's a close-up of our Yucca knife blade afterward. Utilize this edge here. It's pretty rough and crude, but with Yucca, you got to expect that. Here's our fire tube. I burned a pretty big hole in there trying to get the actual flames going. But, you know, sometimes it takes a little longer. You got to do what you got to do. Again, the upper tube, it's not really necessary, but without it, there's a good chance you'll break this. That's what happened to me on some of my first tries. It just snaps in half. So by having that on there, you can squeeze it pretty tight. Alright, so folks, if you're out there in Yucca country, recommend you give this a try. It's a lot of fun.